What's going on, guys? This is D.O. Green, and today we're going to be talking about how to properly care and clean leather. Some of the things you need to keep in mind. I know it seems simple, but there's just a few things that keep in mind when you're doing leather cleaning or protecting. Today we're going to be doing it on this 2016 Mustang Rouge. For those of you following me on Instagram, you've seen this car around. This is one of my repeat clients. So like I said, we're going to go ahead and dive into this, show you all what's going on today's episode of Red Med. Alright guys, so cleaning leather seems pretty simple, and it's because it is. There's just a few things that I like to keep in mind when I'm cleaning leather, and one is obviously the safety of the leather, and then two is just make sure that it's efficient. So the most important thing when it comes to doing leather, suede alcantara, really any kind of sensitive material, plastics and stuff like that, just a good rule of thumb when doing any kind of interiors is I'm a crevice guy. Some of you guys like those big fans, those vacuums. To me, I like the crevice tool. That's just my preference. But anyways, no matter what tool you use, this applies the same. The very end of this, I actually sandpaper down, and I'll actually back it up. So start at whatever 300 or whatever, work to 1,000, whatever, until it's so smooth you can put it on your skin. And this will eliminate any kind of scratching and like I said, any kind of material in the vehicle, and that's just a good rule of thumb to have. The most important thing when cleaning leather to keep in mind is that all the seams, let me pull the camera in real quick. Okay, so all the seams of the leather, right? So they basically, they fold in, right? So there's this whole space in between here that's covered. And what happens is after whatever weeks or whatever of driving, and especially this is a convertible, so the top's down all the time, is that when nobody's sitting in the seat, right, the debris kind of fills in that gap, and then when somebody sits in it, it kind of pushes itself inward into the seam. And the debris, whatever it is, when getting in and out of the car and acting like this, accordion kind of motion, getting in, out of the car, into the car, out of the car, into the car. Those contaminants that are in those seams can actually act like sandpaper, and over time fade the ends of here. So the best way to clean leather seats and to prevent that fading is what you do is you take your tool. Again, this crevice tool is what I use, whatever you like to use, and I'll just take my fingers right on all these seams and spread them like that, and then come in and gently, let that vacuum take care of it. And that's why you sandpaper it, because the last thing you want to do is scratch any kind of leather or anything like that. And that goes for all of them, especially where, right here is, that's where most of the debris gets. So you just spread it open with your hand and then get in there with the crevice tool and get those areas. That's the best way to make sure that particular damage doesn't occur. And then, of course, the next thing that you want to do is use some sort of hydrate. Let me put this up. Use some sort of hydrate. So whatever your favorite product is, right? I've got two different kinds of products that I use, but again, whatever you favor. I've got one that's a cleaner, and it's the Ammo Lather, of course, and that basically just goes in there and it cleans up body oils and contaminants and kind of foams up so that whenever I'm removing contaminants, it eliminates the, or at least reduces the risk of scratching. Being careful with it, and it'll hydrate it for a couple of days, but doesn't do anything like the Ammo Mousse does. So the Ammo Mousse is a conditioner. So when you're taking care of your leather, keep in mind that there's two different cleaners out there, a cleaner and a conditioner. Not sure where I was, so let me start over again. So there's two different, there's a cleaner and a conditioner. Okay, so the cleaner is going to be your weekly or bi-weekly, or whenever you clean your car, when you clean your interior, that's going to be your all, kind of interior cleaner, right? Not an all-purpose cleaner. I know that's a thing that people like to use in the interiors. I'm not a fan of it particularly. I think that all-purpose cleaners are just way too aggressive for maintenance cleans. They come in handy for certain reasons, but as a all-purpose cleaner, it's funny because as the name implies, I do the opposite and I use it for a very specific reason. But anyways, if you're trying to do just a maintenance cleaning, use a cleaner. If you were looking to hydrate and keep your leather supple creases or cracks or things like that, then you need a conditioner of some kind. Pick your favorite brand, right? And what that's going to do is it's going to penetrate, instead of just kind of laying on the surface, it's going to penetrate the pores of the leather and really fill in those pores, like almost like a wax does, right? Same thing with paint. Leather has pores and it breathes and it flexes, and just like clear coat does. So a conditioner is a sort of leather wax, right? It fills in all those pores and keeps everything out, but keeps it hydrated and allows it to expand and contract, move around and things like that, and keeps it plush. Once these creases start from getting in and out, it's very expensive and difficult to go backwards. There's two things on a vehicle that I'm very cautious about, because once the damage starts, it's expensive and difficult to go back, and that's wheels and leather. Just once that damage starts, it's difficult to pull time back. So it's best to be, ahead of the game, right? So when it comes to conditioner, depending on how you drive, this client keeps their vehicle in the garage for the majority of the time, and it's like a Sunday fun day car kind of deal, So with that being in mind, about once a year is when I'll do the conditioner on the leather. If you drive it out and you park it outside and you leave it outside all day long, at work and at home, you might want to do it twice a year, 3 times a year. It's not that expensive, doesn't take much to do, but something that you should keep in mind. So, of course, make sure that the leather is as clean as you can possibly get it, right? Whether you're using steam or whether you're using a leather cleaner or whatever the case may be, you get it as clean as you can, and you get those pores open and nice and clean, and then you get your conditioner, and I'll show you how to apply that. Okay, so of course it's not just the seats, it's also, whatever's leather in the interior. Obviously, if it's leather, it needs to be cared for like leather. So of course the door here is actually made of leather, so it's perfect for this. So again, I've got my cleaner and I've got my conditioner. So what you want to do is you want to take an applicator pad, and just like before you were waxing, right? And or not waxing, I'm sorry. Well, I guess you would do this when you're waxing too. When you're doing waxing or paint restoration or whatever, you fill all the pores in the applicator. Why is that not? There we go. Fill all the pores, right? And get that nice and clean so that there's no dry spots, because dry spots can scratch. And then you basically just take your product, right? Like that. And then I actually do Larry's business, where he butterflies it to evenly distribute. And you basically just, whatever, like I said, whatever's leather, go in there. Wherever there's stitching, just like when you're applying tire shine, you got to kind of go one direction and then go another. All right. Just kind of gently massage it in. And I'll let that sit there for about a minute or two, and that gives me time to do about the whole front section. Car's divided up in 4, right? 2 in the back, 2 in the front. Gives me time to do about an entire section, so you let that sit there for a couple of minutes, but just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to speed this up. So I let that sit on there and cure, and then you take a very clean microfiber towel, right? Spray your cleaner on there now, right? And then now you're layering. So now you've got a conditioner on the bottom, you've got a cleaner on top. So what you're doing is basically just buffing the excess, whatever didn't go in the leather, right? And you're also putting a layer on top of that conditioner to protect it, right? And I'm picky about my conditioners and cleaners. I'm very against anything shiny in interiors of vehicles. I think it doesn't look good, it doesn't feel good on me, and most people are like that too, But again, use your favorite product, but the ones that I like are matte. So, and you go in there, you just buff it away, and there you go. So not only do you have cleaned leather, but now it is protected from the heat, which regardless if it's parked outside or in the garage, heat is heat and it goes everywhere. And so even in the garage, it can get very hot. And as far as stitching goes, say you've got some, conditioner or whatever that's stuck maybe in that stitching, very simple. All you do is come in here, right, and just spray your cleaner, and then you would just take a soft boar's hairs brush and kind of just get in there and agitate it a little bit. And then after that, come by, wipe it with the towel, and that's the end of it. So that's going to go for the entire interior. Anything that's leather is going to get protected like that. We've already protected the plastics with our cleaner, which is a hydrate as well, but with the leather it's more sensitive to heat, and of course that's what you're sitting on, so you're going to need a conditioner for that. And like I said, with this particular car and the driving behaviors of it, we're going to do it once a year. So that pretty much covers it for leather. I've got videos on how to remove stains on it, I believe, so I'll link that below. But as far as properly caring for leather and keeping it hydrated, that's the best way to do it. So again, if you got any questions, comment below. Of course, I answer all the comments, and then you can also email me at diogreen@yml.com if you have any questions. Appreciate you guys watching this, man. Hope this helped you out. Take care.